we'll just give people a minute or two. If anybody has anything that they'd like to talk about tonight, feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, let's just take a deep breath. And just step into this moment. Use the breath to give yourself something to focus on, something to anchor you. But as you do that, let your eyes take in the entire room. Anchored to your breath, while you soften your focus to take in the entire room at once. And from that place, we just breathe. All those things that pull us away from that, we shift our attention from them and place them on the breath. Spend a little time in the simplicity of that, and then we'll talk. For anyone who just came in, we're doing about what you would expect. We're focusing on the breath while we soften our vision to take in the entire room. The truth is present in this moment. Anything that would take you out of this moment is a story, a spinning of the truth, a distortion. Doesn't make it bad, it just makes it not truth. The truth is the grounded sanity that you feel when you enter deeply into this moment without needing it to be anything different than what it is. To abide here, you have to slow down. Because that rushing is a pushing and a pulling that reaches outside of this moment. Into something that only exists as a story. A skewed perception of your past, or a fear or desire for the future. If you'll show up for this moment, you'll find there's nothing to run away from. You're only ever trying to heal the past or the future. The present moment doesn't need healing. It's complete, it's comfortable, it's fulfilled. You can see that for yourself. Stop reaching outside of it and you'll see. You're comfortable, you're sane. You're fulfilled. You don't need to angle for anything or manipulate anything. There's nothing you need to do to make yourself feel better. This is what's real. And everything you suffer over is just something from your past that you're giving your attention to instead of what's actually here. When you really give yourself to a spiritual path, that becomes evident because all of your evolution is the relinquishing of your past. All your realizations are just one more part of the story of your past that you let go of so that you can be more present, taken out of this moment less. Maybe you were teased as a child, treated like you were less than, At some point in your spiritual journey, it dawns on you, what if none of that's true? What if it's not true just because they said so? And when you see that, you can let go of it. And it's resolved. You have a story from your past that puts a bunch of rules on what you need in order to be happy. Usually stories you took on from others. And one day you realize, what if none of that's true? Who says it's true? Is it true just because they say it? What if I just let go of it and feel comfortable now? Just let everything flow and feel elated now. Well, you didn't do the thing that you needed to do in order to give yourself permission to feel that. But the only reason you wanted it was so that you could feel that. What if you just feel it? Why let a story hold your peace and comfort hostage? It's a web, a tangled web of stories. And the spiritual path is constantly pushing up against the edge of that web so that you can see the strand that is still holding you, and you let it go, one at a time, day after day after day. You've all experienced that at some point in this class, I'm sure. A shift into the meditative state for no reason except because you just chose to give yourself that. And as soon as you do, you know you're in truth. The truth has a ring to it, a comfort that you can feel deep inside yourself. It's not a religious truth. It's just sanity. It's not taking some stupid story and using it as an excuse to be miserable. The more you clear up your past, the more that past is no longer used to interpret your present. You come to see the story for what it is. Even when people aren't trying to lie, they're not telling the truth. They're just telling the story through their angle, They're bringing their past, their system of joys and gripes, and filtering the moment through that, and then speaking their truth with a little t. You hear it, and if you're not awake, you react to it with your truth with a little t, your system of stories. But there's always another option. You can understand that you're just seeing their truth with a little t, their perspective, through the stories that they're stuck in. And you can just let them have it. And you don't have to take it on. At a deep level, the only truth is silence. There's honesty in words. They're speaking what you believe to be true. But there isn't truth in words. Truth is what you experience when the words stop. See if you can feel that. The moment I stop talking, it's like you fall into this cliff, fall right off this cliff into a chasm of truth. The truth is in between the sounds. It opens the second the sound stops. Can you feel that? That's what's real. Everything else is that truth being filtered through a story, an angle of view. Relative to the joys and the pains of the person who's speaking. It's even true when a spiritual teacher is speaking. The Buddha himself said, "Don't mistake my teachings for truth." If truth is the moon, my teachings are like a finger pointing to that moon. Don't mistake the finger for the moon. teachings walk you to the edge of the cliff. And as soon as they stop, there it is. And if you stay there, it builds. It grows. It clears your system of stories. It doesn't eliminate them. It just means that if you're telling a story, you're telling the story. It's not telling you anymore. If you don't like the little sliver of perception that your story is giving you, you can change it because you know it isn't real. You can find a different lens through which to view it. Usually a step into a bigger picture. And every step into a bigger picture is always good news. Because the truth is good news. Always. Even amidst the legitimate suffering of the world of stories. In your worst moment, you can step off that cliff. And just be with this instant. And when you're really on your path, any suffering becomes the trigger to do so. The second you feel sad or afraid or angry, you know that you're weaving your way through a story. Maybe yours, maybe someone else's if you're sensitive. And in that moment, you can throw yourself open instead of closing yourself off. And just step into that vast chasm of comfort and peace. At the end of every sentence, that moment after the orchestra stops playing, but right before the audience starts clapping. That moment right at the top of your inhale, but right before you begin the exhale. And in that nothing space, you can open right up. without resolving anything in the story. Though doing so usually begins the process of resolution. Because awareness increases. And awareness evolves whatever it looks at. I come here to give my awareness to your true self. And I teach you to give your awareness to your true self. And in doing so, your access to that expands. Week after week, year after year. So let's sit together now. Let's sit in that truth. And when a voice arises in your head to take you away from it, just wait till the end of the sentence and step right back off the cliff. Do that now. And if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat. How many breaths can you stay there? It'll grow with every breath. There's no end to it. Many will use this to escape the system of stories. And when you're stuck and you need a respite, that's a good use of it. But you can also take this into the story. To put all the components of that story on the screen of your mind while accessing this space. And when you do that, because awareness evolves whatever it places its attention upon, the story will evolve. You'll see deeper and deeper truths to that story. Your attachments to it will slowly untangle themselves. Sometimes you first need to escape, to strengthen yourself a bit in stillness, and then go back. But we live in a world of stories, and at some point we do have to deal with them. Now that you have a little solidity under your belt, why don't you take something from your life, something difficult, and just put it on the screen of your mind while you meditate. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to speak to yourself about it. Just let it be in the space with the truth. And just be aware of how it evolves as you sit comfortably with that story. What does it look like from the vantage point of truth? Beyond how you feel about being wronged. Why did they wrong you? What made that possible for them? What is their story that makes it feel okay to them to do that to you? What pain might they have endured that they're trying to assuage through all the wrong ways? Just hold it in the space. And just watch. toughest knots don't come untied unless you really slow down and observe. But with the right flexibility of consciousness, any knot can be untied. Now just be in this moment. Just breathe freely in this moment. You just being you. Your true self in this moment. Cleanses and energizes the space. It evolves the space. Okay. This week, just do your practice. Step into the simplicity of what you are, the sanity of what you are. Use emotional discomfort as your cue to tell you that you are out of the moment. And step back into the moment. And when you've stabilized in this place, take the difficult stories and bring them in to that wakefulness. Don't let them direct you. Just let the light of your awareness shine upon them so that the knots start to untie. Any questions about that? Well, let's see. So Anna is asking, quite a while back, I missed it, how can you silence a high level of anxiety? It depends, Anna. If the anxiety is coming from other people and you're feeling them, then you need to kind of pull back a little bit and step into your own world and let them kind of slowly forget about you. If the anxiety is coming from your own processing, then you want to just place the anxiety on the screen of your mind and let yourself feel it openly. This is, of course, only if you feel safe doing that, and if you don't, get some help with that. But usually the only way out of something like that is to first accept it. When we push it away, we don't really deal with it, and we always have a hand on it. And so we're spending our energy and our resources, and when eventually we just can't hold our hand up anymore, we're too energetically tired to fight it. So instead, go into the meditative state. Yes, and it comes back eventually, that's right. So you go into the meditative state, and then it's just as simple as, here I am. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling it in this place in my body. And you just make space for it and let it evolve with your awareness. The only way through is through. Okay. All right, everybody, let's see, anything else? You too, Joanna. All right, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Anytime. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.